Hello, my dear students. Welcome to my class. I, Dr. Swati Pandya, welcomes you. Dear students, in last session, we had started structure of polynucleotide chain. And in last session, we have understood how the nucleoside that is formed. And then when the phosphate group is added to nucleoside, how nucleotide will be formed. And nucleotide is important here because we are making a polynucleotide chain. And polynucleotide chain, it is important for understanding the structure of nucleic acid. Nucleic acid are of two types, DNA and RNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid and RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. This we have completed with last session, and today we are going to continue with the same topic, structure of polynucleotide chain. Here I have shown you in last session this chain, and we had understood this is a polynucleotide 1, then this is second polynucleotide, this is third polynucleotide, sorry, this is a single nucleotide, second nucleotide, third nucleotide, and fourth nucleotide. So here it is making a polynucleotide chain. And in this way, n number of nucleotide they are joined with one another by a phosphodiester bond. So this bond is made. So this is a link between this nucleotide and this one. And here this is 5' end having phosphate group, and this is 3' end having hydroxyl group. When again the other nucleotide will join, a phosphodiester bond will be formed here. And these are nitrogenous base, adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. Similarly, this structure is pentose sugar. This is pentose sugar, and this one is phosphorus group. So we already understood how the nucleotide is formed. It consists of three components: nitrogenous base, the pentose sugar, and phosphate group. But here we are going to study the structure of DNA. So in DNA, deoxyribose type of pentose sugar is present, and in nitrogenous base, these four adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine nitrogenous base are only present. So let us start the remaining concept of double stranded polynucleotide chain. So here DNA is an acidic substance which is present in nucleus, and it was first identified by Friedrich Mischer in 1869, and he named it as nuclein. It is an acidic substance, and firstly it was known as nuclein. Due to some limitations, it was not able, the scientists were not able to isolate such a long polymer, and DNA was renamed after a long time. And actually it was in 1953 that the scientist known as called James Watson, Francis Crick, and they on the based on X-ray diffraction data produced by Wilkins as well as Franklin. So these two were subordinates, and all the team they proposed a double helix model for structure of DNA, and it was a grand change in the technological field, in biotechnological field, as well as genetics. It was a great achievement, and due to this, within few years we are able to achieve so many things. Even clones are being made, and so many manipulations regarding the genes and that technology is done nowadays. So this was a grand hit. Its model was a grand hit, double helix model of structure of DNA. Even so actually this structure we have understood in previous standard, but still we will revise a little bit. But before that, Another scientist named Irwin Shergaff and his observation told that for a double stranded DNA, the ratio between these nitrogenous base, that means adenine with thymine as well as guanine with cytosine, actually it remains constant and equal to 1. You can see here. So ratio is equal and it remains 1. Now how the DNA structure is formed, that we will see. In previous slide you have seen a single polynucleotide, but here the two polynucleotide chains they are shown. You just see here I am showing this one is a single polynucleotide chain and this is a opposite polynucleotide chain. Why opposite? Because here it is having 5' end and here it is 3' end, but in opposite polynucleotide chain here it is having 3' end and this is 5' end. So if you see the structure of this pentose sugar, it is facing towards this direction. Okay, the point that is towards this direction. But when you see this polynucleotide chain, the pointed end is towards opposite direction. So actually they are running anti-parallel to each other. And how these polynucleotide chains are connected? Actually they are connected by the weak hydrogen bonds. But weak hydrogen bonds, they are formed between cytosine and guanine. 3 weak hydrogen bonds are formed and thymine and adenine are having 2 weak hydrogen bonds. So they may be T with A or A with T, it's same thing. Similarly, G with C or C with G, it's same thing. But in between them 3 weak hydrogen bonds are there and in between them 2 weak hydrogen bonds are formed. So this is the structure regarding the DNA model which was proposed by actually Watson and Crick in 1953. Generally, you have made such type of model, right? And it is important also, you should know this is the basic representation how the double helix it looks like. Actually, these blue colored ribbon shaped structure that is showing the one of the polynucleotide chain and another, this is another one is moving in this direction and another will be moving in opposite direction. Let us see some of the salient features regarding double helix structure. It is made of 2 polynucleotide chain. Right now I have shown you these blue colored ribbon like structures, they are representing 2 polynucleotide chains. Here the 2 chains have anti-parallel polarity. If one chain has the polarity of 5' to 3', the other will be having 3' to 5'. And this we have seen in this diagram, in this representation. I have explained you very well. And adenine with pair with T means thymine with 2 weak hydrogen bonds and guanine will be forming bond with cytosine and here 3 weak hydrogens bonds will be formed. This type of combination I've shown you in this way also, adenine with thymine and guanine with cytosine. Here the 2 chains they are coiled in right-handed fashion. So this coiling is right-handed fashion. So you can see here, this is the coiling, it is turning like this. So this turning is towards right hand side. Okay. Then the plane of one base pair stacks over the other in double helix. You can see here that during the turning it is very much clear. So these are base pairs. It is shown. This color it is representing guanine with cytosine. So red color is cytosine and this is guanine. Similarly, this is showing thymine with adenine. So in this way, there are base pair, these are known as base pairs. Okay, and if you see this distance from starting from here up to this, so it is turning like this and it is ending up to this. So this is known as one spiral and its dimension is 3.4 nanometer. It can be also written as 34 angstrom. It is 10 raised to minus 9. Nanometer is 10 raised to minus 9. Similarly, when we see the distance between the two base pairs, it is 0.34 nanometer. Okay, so these are some of the dimensions. Even if you want to see the distance between these two sugar phosphate backbones, so nitrogenous base are towards inner side and this backbone, it is made up of pentose sugar as well as phosphate group. Okay, so when we see the same diagram in this pattern, this part will be showing the backbone. Here also this part will be showing the backbone, and the hanging part towards inner side, they are showing the nitrogenous base pairs. Okay, these are forming the bond between the similar type. So in this way, these dimensions, they are, you should remember, and this diagram is equally important to draw. So I was telling you about the distance between the two polynucleotide chains, that is 20 angstrom. Okay, so all these dimensions you are supposed to learn. Now let us see the another concept which is regarding central dogma. It is a very small topic, and here we will see that the proportion of double helix structure for DNA and its simplicity in explaining the genetic implication, it becomes a revolutionary. Why? Because Francis Crick proposed the central dogma in molecular biology. So this is another scientist name. Actually, all the findings are regarding DNA, and this central dogma, it states that the genetic information flows in this direction. Which direction? From DNA to RNA, and then from RNA to protein. So in this way, the information, it moves, genetic information. So it can be represented in this pattern also. It is more detailed. Here the DNA, it replicates, it makes it copy. This is a very special word which is used for Xerox copy of DNA. When it is formed, it is known as replication of DNA. This will be the another topic, and you will be learning in further chapter. So this complicated process, during this, the information that is given, so DNA, it replicates, and then what happens? It gives its information to messenger RNA. So RNA are actually three types you have learned earlier. Again, we will revise the same, will recall all the things. The ribonucleic acid, it is of three types. First is messenger RNA, second transverse RNA, and third ribosomal RNA. So here we are talking about messenger RNA. And the name is indicating us why it is known as messenger RNA, because it takes the message which is given by DNA. So this process, when DNA give its message to mRNA, then this process is known as transcription. This is a separate topic we are going to study in further part of the chapter. Then again, when this mRNA, it takes the message from DNA and it gives its information to form a protein which is required. So this process is known as translation. Actually, this process occur in nucleus, transcription occur in nucleus, and translation occur in cytoplasm, because protein synthesis, it is related to On the surface of ribosomes, the protein synthesis takes place. So you may recall all the things which you have learned earlier. All the things are connected, all the chapters are connected. So everything you have to remember. So protein synthesis in cell and its structure chapter, you have learned earlier that protein synthesis occur on the surface of endoplasmic reticulum. That means rough endoplasmic reticulum. They have ribosomes, and ribosomes are related to, their main function is to synthesize protein. So this process occur on the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum. So today we are going to end our topic here only, and I think this will be enough for today. Today only a small topic I have taken, but diagrams, they are important. You should practice the diagrams at least 2 to 3 times, then only everything will be clear in your mind. It is a small topic, but it is difficult to remember. That's why I'm not taking the other topic, which is equally important as well as difficult to understand. So we'll take the packaging of DNA helix in next session. Till then, take care, revise properly, learn properly with full focus on the chapters as well as topics, and do your work in time. Okay, students? Bye bye.